Live from our studios here in Accra, this is Joe News Prime, coming to you live from Ghana, live on DSTV channel 421, GoTV channel 125, around the world on myjoyonline.com. Coming up, this our government comes under fire as the former cigar boss waits into dismissal of the managing director of SIC Insurance Company, calling out the presidency for failing to adhere to best corporate governance practices.
You need to get to the board first. This is not a solely government responsibility to change. You need to consult the board, and the board must take a decision. In most cases, in fact, in the company law, because this is applying the company law too.
Bring you details as the SIC boss drags the government to court, challenging the termination of her appointment. Also coming up, minority to rejoin special committee investigating appointment committee chaos after their leader asked them to withdraw and barred members from testifying.
We just had a meeting, and our sister Honorable Abina was at a meeting, and she contributed to the meeting, the discussion that we had, so they will be there tomorrow.
We have details as the committee resumes to hear testimonies from witnesses on Friday. Also, minority vows to frustrate the majority in parliament until the Electoral Commission collates and declares Ablekuma North parliamentary election results.
If the NDC led by Mahama Yariga will not be reasonable, no matter say Ablekuma North, based on all the evidence available, Yewinia, Asundia dia Sunjamu Nyabiwa Parliament will be.
Well, there is a resistance to the government's decision to terminate the appointment of Managing Director of SIC Insurance Company Limited, Hollister Yentumi. She is already, she went to court to challenge the decision by President Mahama to replace her with Ajanin Boateng, whose appointment, according to the letters, took immediate effect on January 27. In her rate, Madam Dia Yentumi argued that her appointment was contractually secured for a 4-year term. Set to expire on 1st January 2028. But we do understand that she has subsequently withdrawn that particular rate from court. So we'll be following up with that. But we'll bring you a lot more on this particular story. But take a listen to former Director General of the State Interest and Governance Authority, Stephen Asamoah Boateng, who has been speaking on this particular matter.
You need to get to the board first. This is not a solely government responsibility to change. You need to consult the board, and the board must take a decision. In most cases, in fact, in the company law, because this is applying the company law too, it is even a point where you go to the annual general meeting to change. That's how it works. That's the way it should be working.
Do you think the law has been breached in this instance?
It's not a question of law. It's a question of corporate governance. The law is there. I mean, I can see in this particular case from the little I've heard, the outgoing MD has a contract for 4 years. So when somebody has a contract, there's a legal aspect of how you break that contract. So that's a separate matter. So that even complicates it. So it's not the law. It's a simple matter of corporate governance. And that's what we've all been trying to get Ghana, the businesses in Ghana, especially the ones that the government has interest, to abide by corporate governance practices. So it's more than the law. It is a practice of being a good corporate governance system where we all know that this is the way to do things, and so that we can measure the performance of businesses of the state that brings in money. It's not just appointing by appointing sake. What is the effect of the appointment? Is there going to be a profit-oriented businesses that we are looking at, or just putting people in places where they don't work? That's the key issue.
So in the face of corporate governance, has there been some breach?
I think they should go back and get to the board, convey a board meeting, and let the board make a decision on that basis. If the board wants to terminate the appointment, yes, then they will go through the process of board decision-making and terminate the appointment of the outgoing MD.
Well, let's dwell more on this. Lead data analyst Isaac Kofi joins me in studio with details of her conditions of service, because we understand that she's gone to court to withdraw the writ that she filed earlier. Kofi, I mean, let's understand the conditions that were attached to her appointment as the MD.
Now, Kojo, it was based on these conditions of service that she made this at least 26 demands in the writ that she has actually withdrawn. What do we know? What's the headline figure in that rate that we saw earlier. Her condition of service, according to the data contained in that court rate, we understand that her gross salary or her gross basic salary in a year was around some 840,000 Ghana cedis.
So this was without the allowances, right?
So this is the gross, everything. Involved without tax.
Okay.
She will be earning somewhere 840,000 Ghana cedis per annum. Okay. What do we know about the monthly side? On the monthly level, we understand that her basic salary was hovering around some 70,000 Ghana cedis, and this amount was subject to some 15% annual adjustment. And then also you break it down and you go to some of the allowances, and the biggest one we saw in that court rate was the clothing allowance, which was even bigger than her, basic salary, 70,000 per month. And then if you look at her per annum in terms of a year, what she gets as her clothing allowance, that's 84,000 Ghana cedis. And not just that, she also enjoys some entertainment, or as the MD of SIC, she's entitled to entertainment allowance of 7,000 Ghana cedis per month. But why is this important? We are actually talking about this salary or these figures is because we know that in the emolument committee, it is stated black and white that there is that big gap between what state-owned enterprise CEOs and MDs enjoy and Article 71 office holders enjoy compared to single spine and the ordinary Ghanaian. If somebody is earning, let's say, 70,000 Ghana cedis per month, and the average salary of an ordinary Ghanaian is somewhere around 2,000 or 2,800 or 3,000 cedis, then it is necessary that we bring these figures. We know there are corporate governance issues, all right, but the figures are still important to be spoken about in terms of, she's also entitled to some annual familiarization tour to any destination, and that amount is $3,000 per air ticket, and this is a take or leave. So if she doesn't use it, she cannot reclaim it. So definitely we are sure that this is the maximum number anyway. This is the maximum amount. We are sure that she will definitely go for this money in that period. Now we also try to understand in that court rate that has been withdrawn, right? What was she demanding for? If this had stayed, and we use a margin of error of, let's say, 5% in calculating this figure, then if she had won the case, then she would have been entitled to some 3.9 million Ghana cedis in terms of her remuneration in the period that the contract has been terminated, Kojo.
Lot of money there. Let's see how the government will handle this particular matter now that she's withdrawn the writ from court.
Absolutely.
Quite interesting details there. But if you look at all of the things that we've shared to you, then there are questions you ask about the differences between what they do earn and what the ordinary worker earn. So what will government do to bridge this gap? If someone is earning close to 3.9 million within 3 years, how can you bridge the gap for an ordinary worker to get to this level or to bring this one down to our level? Quite interesting how government will handle that. But President Mahama has revealed that he will refer the findings of the Operation Recover All Loot Committee to the appropriate investigative bodies for action, adding that he will receive the report next week. Speaking during his thank you tour to the Central Region, he warned his new appointees that they will be held to the same standards as officials from the past government.
We're going to implement a very strict system of accountability. And as I said, we will come out with a code of conduct for persons who occupy positions of trust. We are not going to pursue only members of the past regime to account to the people of Ghana. We're going to pursue our own people to make sure that they are held accountable to the people of Ghana. So even as we investigate those who have just left office, and we carry out our Operation Retrieve All the Loot, and we implement Operation Retrieve All the Loot, those who are current office bearers should also know that they will be held to the same standard as we are holding the past regime. After all, they say, Aba, yadebo techi, yadebo bang. Next week, the oral committee that I set up is going to present its report to me, and I'll refer it to the investigative organizations to start their investigations against people who have misappropriated the resources of this nation.
Well, let's now talk to private legal practitioner who is joining us on this, Alfred Papa Dakwa. We're talking about the initial subject of the former SIC boss being fired, and she also challenging that particular decision by government. Alfred, grateful to you for joining us here. Now, if you look at what is happening, is the government right to say that we are terminating your appointment? Or is the former MD right to challenge government's decision, saying that you need to subject my termination to the shareholders or to the board of directors?
Good evening, Kojo. And I think the point must be made, first of all, that SIC is no longer a public corporation. It became a listed company in 1995. So from 1995, SIC has been a public listed company. What it means is that the shares are on Ghana Stock Exchange and anyone can purchase sale. You would see that government of Ghana has 40% shares and the rest of the 60% shares are some public entities and individuals that own it. So ordinarily, government cannot unilaterally terminate the appointment of the managing director, nor appoint a managing director. What government can do as a single majority shareholder, is to nominate a new person, nominate somebody to be appointed by the board as the managing director. And I do not know, but if the records may show that this current managing director, who has been asked to step aside, I believe the process was smooth. And it was smooth because, if my memory serves me right, she was nominated by the then president to be appointed by the board. Usually that is the practice.
Okay.
So the government, I believe, got this wrong.
Interesting. Now she's withdrawn her writ from court. How would you advise government and parties in this particular matter to approach it so that there can be a resolution to this particular development?
Well, I believe that once her writ has been withdrawn, it presupposes that there's been some background conversation between the parties.
Okay.
And I think that it is a step in the right direction because the SIC is a growing concern, and when these issues come up, it also affects the business viability of the institution. So I believe that they should be talking and continue to talk. This matter can easily be resolved so that they can have a proper handing over.
And if that be the case, will she get all the payment that she was asking for from court?
Well, when you are settling, each party needs to compromise. So I believe that government may compromise. She would need to make some compromises. So depending on how the negotiation goes, I believe she may get a fair deal. Because, she's asked if what she has stated in her claim is something to go by. What it means is that she had about 3 more years to complete her tenure. So some negotiations may go on. Some compromises will need to be made to ensure that, she gets something. She may not get all, but she will get something, definitely.
Alfred Papa Dakwa, I'm grateful to you for joining us here. He is a private legal practitioner. Now, away from that, Minority Chief Whip Frank Anot Dompre has vowed that the MPP will frustrate the majority in Parliament until a member of Parliament is declared for Ablekuma North constituency. Collation of results for that constituency has been halted for weeks now after previous collations have been marred with violence. Speaking after visiting the MPP's parliamentary candidate, Equia Efriye, Frank Anodompre, warned that the NDC will have no peace in parliament until the stalemate is resolved.
If the NDC led by Mahama Yariga will not be reasonable, no matter Ablekumanov, based on all the evidence available, Yewinia, no more margin somebody to trust some, they will continue. They are not going to allow the EC to collect. Asungia di asunjamu nyebi wa parliament obiem. Se IGP ayena adwin se obeye hwehan na nkrofoi akoswe di nkwasiasam etutuasam a we will continue to demonstrate. Me demonstration so me papa. And I say me here demonstration a chair. And I'm a council do demonstration. Ain't it? So I'm on penny to penny noa. I'm on fire to baby a dapako. Yeah, share Nimusa, we are giving the EC 1 week. 1 week. 1 week, 7 days. The EC must come and declare our candidate as the winner of the Blekuma election.
Well, the Akwatia MP is already receiving backlash over his comment and another, which many have described as inciting supporters of the MPP against the NDC. Less than 24 hours ago, residents of Ablekuma North have called for restraint as both candidates in the Ablekuma North parliamentary election, Rabina Obing and Equia Efriye, have begun claiming victory in the election when the EC is yet to declare their final results. The two candidates have erected thank you billboards and are currently embarking on a tour thanking voters for electing them. The residents say this may be a recipe for chaos. Listen.
NDC is claiming victory, and the NPP is also claiming victory. Meanwhile, the final result is not declared. We, the youth, want peace, so we appeal to them to exercise restraint. They are all saying thank you to voters when there is no declaration. We want them to wait for the EC so that there will be peace.
Meanwhile, one of the candidates, the NDC's Rabina Obing, has mounted a strong defense for the thank you tour. Listen to her justification.
Even the good book employs us to be grateful, to show gratitude, and so there's nothing wrong with it at all. Whether there's a process ongoing or not, Rabina believes that coming back to the people who voted for her, who elected her, to say thank you or to show appreciation is the least she can do. Yes, because at the end of the day, I'm with them. I live with them. I'll need them always, all the time. And so it's only in good faith. Yeah.
So this is not to say that you have won the election?
I have been declared. I was declared by the EC. And so that U-turn, it's only probably they have their reasons. And so, like I said, it doesn't negate anything. And for you to show or to be humane about a situation, it's got nothing to do with court processes or a legal battle here and there. No. But this is who I am. I always believe that you need to show respect, you need to show gratitude, regardless. Even if in the event or in the unlikely event that it was a loss, I would have still come back to them anyway. So it doesn't really change anything. I think gratitude, it's a good thing. Yeah.
Just finally, have you had any official communication from the EC why after the last process it's taken so long, nothing is still happening?
The EC barely communicates with the NDC side of this battle, and this is what we have been telling the people all the time. Even during the recollation exercise, rarely would they call us or tell us to come in good time. For instance, they'll give us, come here at 10 o'clock. By 8 o'clock, they're already there doing their own thing with the MPP, and this is a fact. So we haven't heard from them. If I say we, I mean the NDC. We haven't heard from them.
Now, the minority members on the special committee investigating the chaos at the appointment committee are said to rejoin the committee after Minority Leader Alexander Feomarkin asked them to withdraw from that particular committee. Alexander Feomarkin also barred MPP MPs from testifying at the sitting, leading to an abrupt suspension on Wednesday following some engagement. Chairman of the committee, Emmanuel Kwesi Bejara, says the committee will resume Friday with their MPP colleagues expected to join.
Today, as you all are aware, we had a little challenge with our meeting, and we have to suspend what happened. We have to suspend the interview as well as the witnessing of our people yesterday. We've had a message from the Right Honourable Speaker and the Clerk of Parliament, and so we are resuming sitting tomorrow, 10 o'clock, at the same venue, to continue with our work. The Speaker has instructed that he's given it a deadline of 10 days to complete our reports and report same to the House. In fact, we just had a meeting, and our sister, Honourable Abena, was at a meeting, and she contributed to the meeting, the discussion that we had, so they will be there tomorrow.
Let's still stay in Parliament because First Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Bernard Ahiafo, has directed the Ghana Health Service to take immediate action to bring the outbreak of cerebrospinal meningitis under control. CSM has so far claimed 14 lives in the Upper West region alone. Delivering a statement on the floor of Parliament, MP for Dafiama Busie Isa, Dr. Sebastian Sandari, called for urgent action to stem the tide.
The year 2025 has seen a significant rise in suspected cases. Mr. Speaker, we're in epidemiological week 6, and the region has recorded 60 suspected cases, 14 deaths, giving a very high case fatality rate of 23.33%. This calls for urgent enhanced disease control measures, Mr. Speaker. I therefore appeal to the government, the Ministry of Health, WHO, UNICEF, and other stakeholders to mobilize technical, financial, and logistical support as a matter of urgency to enable the region to control and prevent the outbreak. Mr. Speaker, meningitis outbreaks in Ghana often result in high mortality rates. There should be cross-border collaboration with other countries. And Mr. Speaker, the government should establish a public health emergency fund which will ensure sustained funding for current and future outbreaks. Mr. Speaker, in conclusion, the meningitis situation in the Upper West region has resulted in high mortalities and need urgent intervention by the government and other stakeholders.
In his contribution to the statement, Minority Chief Whip Frank Anodompre demanded that the Ghana Health Service be brought to Parliament to answer questions. He described as unacceptable the death recorded following the outbreak.
I came to these shores of this country and told us that we must make institutions work in this country. So we don't have the Minister of Health sworn in, but we have the Ghana Health Service. Ghana Health Service. Speaker, we can't always be waiting on the politicians. And oftentimes we lazily put the blame at the politicians. We have dedicated public service, public health service, people who are paid by the taxpayers' money. There must be a way that the Ghana Health Service should come and explain to us. Is it the case that we are lacking vaccines? Is it the case that they never knew about this? They are sleeping on the job? What is happening? They must come and give us some reasons. And we can make the argument that, well, we should wait for the minister to be sworn in, but I would differ. The leadership of the Ghana Health Service should come and tell us why this matter is as where it is. In this time and age, we can't be allowing such basic ailment to be taking lives. So necessarily, the Ghana Health Service must go to the aid of the poor people at the Upper West. Otherwise, the matter will get out of hand. Speaker, to that end, I want to pray you that you allow or you direct the Ghana Health Service to come and brief this House.
But in his directive, the first Deputy Speaker, who presided in the absence of the Speaker, directed that the Ghana Health Service to take immediate action, including setting up a public health fund to deal with the outbreak.
Consequently, I would direct that the statement be referred to the Ghana Ministry of Health. The Ministry of Health is to take immediate action to create awareness, conduct contact tracing, intensify the provision of medical care to the affected victim, and consider the establishment of the Public Health Emergency Fund. Honourable members, I so direct.
Well, this is still Joy News Prime here on the Joy News channel. The minority in Parliament is charging the government to adopt the NPP special initiative of purchasing ambulances for all constituencies across the country, and also and do same for the fire service. The service has complained about 40 fire tenders with so many parts of the country without any working fire tenders, hampering its effort to deal with recent fire outbreaks. Addressing journalists in Parliament, MPP MP4 for Ikro, Mike Edu, explained that an initiative to equip every district with a working fire tender will put the fire service in readiness to deal with any fire outbreak in the country.
I think, I believe we are doing a lot of lip service. We are doing a lot of lip service because if you look at the damage to our environment, you go to places and you see the way we burn things. People, you live next door and your neighbor is burning things into the atmosphere without consent to the neighborhood, without consent to the environment. You visit places and people still engage in bushfire burning. You go to villages and people want to go and catch game, and then they will still burn the forest. Devastation being caused by galamsey, devastation being caused by farming, our grasslands being devastated by fire, and so on. And then when you come to our communities, I feel some of these climate extremes that are going on, as a country, we've not put so much budget to it. How do we equip the National Disaster Management Organizations like NADMO? How do we equip the fire service? How many fire tenders are in the country? I know we are developing as a nation. There was a point in time where we didn't even have enough ambulances. Due to government efforts, we were able to procure enough ambulances. So in the same way, we have to take action and consciously get budgetary allocation for the fire service.
Well, the minority also do not believe successive governments have done enough to deal with market fires and other such outbreaks across the country.
These things are going against the nation, and it counts into billions of cedis when you quantify everything together. So today's statement was to stress on the point. I've seen from the Hansa that a lot of statements have been made on fire. But we've gotten to the point that as Parliament, as a government, as a country, we need to look at the holistic approach that can nip it in the bud once and for all. For instance, our markets. Are we going to put fire tenders close by? Are we going to create special fire hydrants that will supply water to the market so that in case there is a fire outbreak, the fire service can get easy access to water to be able to quench the fire so that the losses will be minimal or reduced? For instance, what are we going to do about insurance for some of these our markets so that when there is fire outbreak, people will not lose everything altogether?
This is Joy News Prime. We'll take a break here. We'll be back with more. Please do stay. Welcome back from the break. Now, 3 suspects, including students from Salaga Senior High School, will appear before the Salaga Magistrate Court tomorrow in connection with a violent clash on campus last Saturday that left several individuals injured during that riot. Now, reports indicate that the incident occurred during a routine school entertainment event on Saturday when 2 groups of day students from Pengbe and Salaga towns became embroiled in a confrontation. The altercation led to chaos on campus, prompting swift police intervention. Court proceedings slated for today have been postponed to tomorrow on the orders of the judge. Disgruntled parent later confronted one of the teachers for his role leading to the arrest and detention of their son, whom they claimed is innocent. Let's go on Zoom now and bring in Isaac Nonya, who is our Savannah regional correspondent, and he's joined us with more. Isaac, 20 arrests, we understand, were initially made, but only 3 suspects have proceeded to court. Do we know why?
Yes, according to the police, most of the suspects that were arrested, at the other 17, were people who were around the premises, the area when the incident happened. Some of them claimed they were trying to defend themselves by running away and also protecting themselves from the attacks. Hence, they were attacked, they were being injured. So they were not suspect, they were just within the enclave. Okay. So the police too, by their own checks, revealed that truly these people were just there at the entertainment ground. They happened to be caught by the incident.
Do we know the charges these 3 are facing? Well, so we are in the Savannah region trying to understand the issue that went on there and how 3 people have been sent to court and the sort of challenges or charges that they are facing and what exactly, even the details of this particular matter there. Isaac Nonya is our regional correspondent and he's joining us via Zoom with a lot of details on this particular matter. As you heard him there, a lot of students were picked up, but only 3 have been taken to court. Isaac, so I wanted to understand if we do know the charges that have been preferred against these 3 people who have been taken to court. Isaac, kindly unmute so we can hear what you're saying.
Yes, there are 2 provisional charges placed over them.
Okay.
One for unlawful possession of firearm and a causing harm to people who were around. Okay. So I will speak. The judge, he had to travel from Savannah region through Northern region back to Savannah region. From the border district to Damago to Northern region, Tamale Northern region, and then also across to Salaga, close to 120 kilometers journey. So he got there today, and that it was very late after 12 p.m. And all parties agreed that they should make it tomorrow. Now, the other incidents involved that yesterday, because the people were arrested on Monday, per the Public Sector Act, they didn't want to keep them beyond 48 hours. So they were made to move them to court. And the absence of the judge, they have to rearrest them and place them in police custody. Okay. We are told that based on what happened today, where some parents who went to the court to witness the proceedings and found out that the judge could not come, they tried to pay a visit to the school and to find out a teacher they accused as one who have identified their child, their son, to be a suspect. Okay. So when they got there, in fact, the children were having sport activities, but they managed to identify the teacher and confronted him. But the teacher denied knowledge of that. But they assaulted him verbally, and it took the intervention of the students to wait the parents away and for them to call the police to come and take custody of the student in terms of their security. Okay. I will speak. The information on the ground is that the case after the first hearing is likely to be transferred to Tamale in another region for a peaceful hearing.
Okay, I'm grateful to you, Isaac Noya, there. Now, away from that, the Ashanti Regional Minister, Dr. Frank Amwakohene, has issued a 2-week ultimatum to persons mining in forest and along river bodies to desist from that illegality. He says the Regional Security Council is going all out to ensure the protection of forest and water bodies. The minister emphasized his commitment to support the president's move to ensuring mining is done properly. Daniel Jima was at a press conference in Kumasi and filed this report.
Ashanti region is among areas plagued by illegal mining,
with forest and water bodies among areas of target for gold mining. Though efforts were made by previous administrations to halt the menace, forest and water bodies have continued to come under attack. In carrying through President Mahama's drive to promote responsible mining, the Ashanti Regional Minister, Dr. Frank Amoakohene, has reviewed plans to stop mining in forest reserves and water bodies.
The President has issued out a directive that anyone in the forest reserves mining should vacate those spaces. We are giving them up to 2 weeks, that if you are mining within the forest reserves and you don't want to be on the bad side or on the other side of the law, you have 2 weeks to vacate or to leave those spaces. Again, the other area had to do with our water bodies. So we are also giving them 2 weeks period, that if you know you have any investment whatsoever and you are on the water bodies, polluting them and then destroying our water bodies, you have 2 weeks to leave the space. We will send out a team to make sure we restore normalcy and restore order within the mining sector.
In most mining communities in the region, many pits are left opened after being mined illegally. Already, the Environmental Protection Authority has started enforcements seizing some mining equipment. Dr. Amoakohene has assured the government's preparedness to follow through with a comprehensive program to deal with illegal mining.
Having done that, we also realize that most of the rivers have their paths through different or other regions, for which reason the effort within Ashanti region to even curb the galamsey and the illegal mining issue may not or really does not come to light. So what is happening is that I'm working together with the other regional ministers who equally share most of the tributaries of the river, and the river passes through their regions, so that we can be holistic in our approach towards fighting this galamsey issue.
Meanwhile, the minister, in reacting to the recent violent clash between the military and illegal miners in Obuasi, said investigations are underway. He assured thorough work will be done.
Not long ago, 9 lives were lost due to the clash between the military and illegal miners. The president issued a white paper demanding investigations to be conducted into the matter. This will help us protect the people of the area.
For Joy News, Nana Yaojima, Kumasi.
A team of researchers from the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology have unveiled an innovative and sustainable method to produce high-performance batteries using taro pills. The process, which is both cost-effective and environmentally friendly, has the potential to revolutionize the energy storage industry. The innovation, highlighted in the journal Energy Storage, used advanced scientific processes to convert the taro pills into activated carbon with enhanced performance. Dr. Daniel Mframa Ampong, the lead researcher and a member of the KNUST Center for Engineering Materials Research group, explained their approach.
We carried out a project using local available material, that is waste, to make energy storage material. We synthesize activated carbon from taro, which is locally known as brobe or sukoko in our local dialect. With this material, it contains some properties or functional groups that we perceived would enhance the properties of storage devices. The commercially available activated carbons that we have or that is in the market are usually synthesized from chemicals that are toxic, they are hazardous, and some of them, even the synthesis route is cumbersome and expensive. So we decided to come down to our level and then use the process that we use for producing charcoal in our villages. So in our villages, what they do is that they have the log and then they pack the log, wheat on it, and then cover it with sand. The purpose of doing that is to create some enabling environment to prevent it from turning into ash. So we also mimic the same principle we use, in the lab, we have crucibles. So we use the crucibles, we embedded one in the other, and then we put sand on it to mimic the processes that we use to produce the charcoal. And at the end, we were able to synthesize the activated carbon, which had similar properties to the commercial available activated carbon that is in the market.
And from there, we'll take a break. We'll be bringing you Showbiz right after. Do stay. Well, let's do Showbiz now. And Becky Bex is here with all the gist. Hi, Becky. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
I'm well.
Raskuku is in the news. He's getting ready to release an album which has been inspired by President John Dramani Mahama. But he has expressed doubt about Nasi's gospel artist status. In a conversation on Daybreak Hit this morning, Raskuku expressed his disagreement with the TGMA's board's decision to limit the gospel categories to only gospel musicians, responding to why people like him will not be allowed to compete in the gospel categories. He questioned if Nasi is a gospel musician.
Vocalist of the year. You've been talking about it for a while, but apart from that category, is there any other category that you are eyeing?
Yeah, the gospel song of the year.
But the gospel song of the year, they are saying unless you are a gospel musician.
But
Samir is on it.
No, Nasi is not a gospel musician.
Raskuku, what I say? Nasi is not a gospel musician.
Yeah, Nasi is a producer.
But he's also an artist.
Or a gospel artist?
Yes.
Okay, I never knew. Okay, so the reggae dancehall song of the year, the reggae dancehall artist of the year. Because I just want to know. So,
but he has a lot of gospel songs. Could you?
But he has a lot of Queen songs too.
Yes, but these are one-off songs.
But they are Queen songs.
That is a song he composed for a political party.
Okay. If you say so. When you know VGM and TGM for Nekasa.
Yeah, TGM, they are saying that there's a caveat actually that they issued.
But if you are not a reggae dancehall artist, can you win reggae dancehall song?
If you are not a reggae dancehall artist,
yes.
You can also, you have the right to also win.
But we don't have the left to win that one.
Raskuku right there. I know. They don't have the left to.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. But once you give opportunity for people like Kanata to win reggae dancehall, of course,
give
to win gospel
musicians of the year or gospel songs of the year. I agree with Raskuku. But let's move away from that and talk about Dark Sabbath, because they will be sharing their story on E-Vibes, the musical band series this week. And Dark Sabbath is an Afro-rock band built on a concept of Akebulenian, an African masquerade culture, and the skeleton, a social development concept of the deprived dark suburbs of society, evolving the opportunities through art and culture. The band seeks to be a voice for the deprived urban slums, dwellers, and rural poor, addressing issues of poverty, corruption, peace, and unity through their music, storytelling, and art form, and taking action by investing in projects and programs that stimulate community development with the deprived themselves.
If you didn't enjoy it, I better watch it again. You enjoy it. Or it goes, African plantain, ginger, oh. And you're on your way, what you telling